That's a good idea. All right.
Can you see it? Thank you. It's an honour and a privilege to stand before such wonderful TERFs. And for those of you that are transphobes, obviously not you, sir, even though you're called a transphobe from your wonderful ex-party. I want to talk about my peaking, my experience in bringing down a feminist icon with Video Lachlan, and that's right. Thank you. Thank you.
It's just gone. Red. Yeah, it's not working.
Hello. Right. Yeah. So it's an honour and privilege to be here today amongst wonderful transphobes and TERFs. And for those walking past, women don't have willies. I peaked I never peaked because I never believed and I never had sympathy and I never was kind and I will never be kind. I peaked over periods. And when our own Bruce Jenner, Catherine McGregor, came out and was lauded as a hero and a wonderful woman who likes wearing pearls, I might add I've got my Tiffany pearls on today and I am a pearl clutcher and I'm very proud to be one. So I never peaked, I never believed, I never had sympathy and I never will. In 2023, I attended the Let Women Speak rally. I did not touch it. It's flashing red. Is there a battery? No? Yeah, I know, but it's flashing red. All right, so in 2023, I attended the Adelaide Let Women Speak rally, and I will say to the police here, who did not do their job at the rally last month, that heckler's veto does not mean freedom of speech. So you're not doing your job. Brief up. You can't talk about that. I'm not touching it.
Oh, it's not mine. I don't know how to.
Is there another one?
I don't know how to.
Maybe I'm breaking it with talking so loud.
Is it recharged or is it the battery?
Swapped over.
Well, here we go.
Okay, the transphobes, we're obviously being attacked by the spirit of trans. And I can't identify as a microphone, so. Yeah, but it's important for the police to hear what I want to say.
Hold on, we'll have it in a minute. Okay, fair enough. One more time. Say something with the battery on there. What key was the thing?
Oh, yeah.
Stop filming video, or you want to film all this as well?
Oh, I stopped and started. I just stopped again.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Wasting.
Yeah, some good clips you can get from that.
Yes.
Anyway.
What, the ad-libbing?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
When the mic was on, you had to.
Oh, good, yeah. See, it's because I've got the best speech, so it's the trans attacking me.
I know, I was excited. Yeah.
Timing's everything, though.
What was that, sorry?
You were so passionate. I was listening.
Too passionate.
No, you go.
All right, we're on. Thank you. Thank you to the wonderful transphobes for fixing that. So 2023, I attended the Let Women Speak rally in Adelaide, at which the police were on the Parliament steps and did stand between the rabid mob of trans and their trans maidens. And I said to them at that time, you don't have the heckler's veto. And the police actually, after about 20 minutes maybe, moved the protesters on with a large mount of white horses. So they did the right thing. And I say to the police here, brief up to your superintendents, brief up to the commissioner. You have influence over this, unless it is as Leah said at the beginning, unless you are actually true believers and you think that as a male, if you put on a dress, you've got a right to search a prisoner if she's female. Good luck to you, mate. In 2023, after the Let Women Speak rally, I had the honour of meeting Biddy O'Loughlin. I joined WRNA, Women's Rights Network Australia, and I, like Biddy, met real TERFs. And we did a street activism with WRNA during the World Soccer, handing out flyers, etc. Anyway, I lived near the South Australian Government House, and I saw that our governor, South Australian Governor Frances Adamson, was holding an event which she billed as Women's Advancement. And I thought I'd like to talk to Frances Adamson about women's advancement, because the last time I'd seen Frances Adamson talking was when she was the Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Trade, and she was telling a large conference hall about the work that her department was doing for women in the Pacific. And the big thing that they had feedback about from the women in the Pacific was about period issues and about sanitary hygiene. That's the last thing that I heard from Frances Adamson. And she invited our first and only female Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, to talk about women's advancement. She invited young girls, Year 12 girls, to sit in the front row to hear our first and only female Prime Minister wax lyrical about what a wonderful feminist icon she is. I organised for Biddy and a few other women to attend this women's advancement talk because I and the TERFs wanted to ask Julia Gillard some pointed questions about her views about women's advancement. And we had 5 questions. Biddy's right, we walked slowly down North Terrace like we're in a movie. We separated before we went into the governor's hall, because I thought if we sat together, as soon as Biddy asked her question, that was it. They weren't coming back anywhere near Biddy. So I was at the back, she was at the front, we had a few other TERFs sprinkled around. We had 5 questions for Miss Gillard on that day, and I'll just highlight them. Obviously, we had the infamous one that went viral around the world by Biddy. What is a woman? And do you agree with Queensland's Attorney General and Minister for Women, Sharon Fetterman, that trans women are women? And with the UK leader of the Labor Party, Sir Keir Starmer, that some women have a penis. And for those of you that haven't seen her 4-minute waffle answer, it's here. And as Edie pointed out, our first and only female Prime Minister actually said that most people won't be in prison, most people won't play elite sport. So who cares about the women in a prison with a rapist and a pedophile? Really? It's only a couple. Who cares about the Aboriginal women in the Western Australian prisons that can't say anything about the men that are sharing their facilities? It is disgusting. The second question, which I had the privilege of asking Ms. Gillard, was whether, under her government, obviously we probably all know here, the meaning of biological sex was changed in the Sex Discrimination Act, and she removed women's rights. And I asked her that because of her amendments, biological males were identifying into women's spaces, prisons, rape shelters, sports, etc. And I asked her 10 years on, and given her misogyny speech, did she regret removing women and girls' sex-based rights? And does she think that the Act should be amended so that the girls, the 16-year-old girls in this room, don't have to play against boys in sports and share facilities? And 4 minutes later, she started with, I'm going to answer your question, but it's a gotcha question. So she didn't answer the question. But I think implicitly, perhaps she did. Unfortunately, we couldn't go on to the other 3 questions we had. I had a question about whether she supported men putting their nipples into babies' mouths and feeding them a chemical goo. I asked them if she thought that lesbians should be allowed to meet without men being present. Sorry, we would have asked her. And I asked her another question about her misogyny speech. Yes. Do you think the treatment of women being called chest feeders, being called bleeders, being called birthing people is misogyny, given your misogyny speech? But unfortunately, we didn't ask those 3 questions, but I do think they were rippers of questions. I drafted them, so. Francis Adamson intervened as a blocking measure to stop Julia Gillard answering my question, saying, "You've answered that question." She hadn't answered the question. So we'll move on. So Francis Adamson showed that the girls in that room and the women in that room, that answering questions about the removal of women's and girls' rights was not appropriate. Biddy's question went worldwide. Her response went worldwide. It went worldwide on the Daily Mail UK, it went into the USA, and it got printed in the Spectator, Spike, Blaze, whole lot of media, but not in the mainstream media. We have some comfort that some of the conservative media are now covering this issue, but the Australian last year did one of those wonderful Saturday paper 2-page editorial interviews where it waxed lyrical about how wonderful Julia Gillard was and didn't mention her fall from grace as a feminist icon in this glowing article. Shame on the media. Shame on your cowardice because you know it's wrong. Say what you know to be true. Stand up for women and girls' rights, you shameful people. Julia Gillard said of me and Biddy O'Loughlin, and I quote, "I will not be lectured about misogyny as sexism by these women. Not now, not ever." We say to you, our first and only Prime Minister, traitor to her sex, betrayer of women and girls, that we will not be lectured by you on misogyny and sexism. Not now, not ever. Thank you.